The 10 richest prison bosses in the world. Drug lord Gut is only ranked 10th. The top spot boasts assets of 2.8 trillion, 450 times richer than the Queen of England. In most people's eyes, prison means a loss of freedom and a distance from wealth. But you might not know that in this world, there is a prisoner while still in prison. His personal assets continue to grow daily, $25 million and climbing rapidly. According to the Global Crime Economics Report, there are at least hundreds of prisoners worldwide, with assets exceeding $10 million USD, some even controlled underground empires spanning multiple countries. In today's video, I will take you on a journey to explore the unknown about the 10 richest prison bosses in the world. Top 10. Joaquin Guzman Lora. In Mexico's decades-long war against illegal drug trafficking, over 34,000 deaths are attributed to one man, Joaquin Lora. He is better known by the nickname Shorty. This man is only 1.68 meters tall. He used violence and cunning to build the largest illegal drug empire in history. His personal fortune amounted to $12.6 billion US. He was even listed by Forbes on the list of the world's most influential people. 1957 Guzman was born in the barren mountains of Sinaloa. His childhood was steeped in the violence and poverty of his father. After dropping out of school at 15, he followed his father into cultivating illegal crops, entering the world of illicit drugs. In 1988, Guzman established his own enterprise, the founding of the Sinaloa cartel, demonstrating incredible criminal talent. He pioneered a transportation tunnel system, disrupting the traditional smuggling model. A total of 1,000 tons of metal were excavated underground at the US-Mexico border, an intricate network over 50 miles long, with a sophisticated logistics system, allowing them to deliver 10 tons of contraband to the US weekly. This industrial model quickly allowed him to surpass his Colombian rivals. At its height, it controlled the entire United States and held 80% of the legal drug market. Guzman's business empire went far beyond this. When the US cracked down on one illegal drug, he abruptly switched to producing another banned substance. This strategic shift greatly benefited the Sinaloa cartel. In 2006, the Mexican government escalated its anti-drug campaign. As rivals were eliminated one by one, his market share increased by 40%. To consolidate his power, he formed a private army, the Lozatap. This 3,000-strong army was equipped with armored vehicles and anti-aircraft missiles. They engaged in direct firefights with government forces, resulting in hundreds of casualties. His legendary experience includes being captured 3 times and escaping prison twice. It became the best annotation on Guzman's power. His first escape in 2001. He hid in a laundry cart, escaping from a maximum security prison. His second escape in 2015, showcasing sophisticated planning. Through a 1.5-meter deep tunnel under the bathroom, his accomplices dug a 1.5-kilometer-long tunnel. The tunnel has train cars and a ventilation system. Behind these escapes is a massive bribery network. Surveys show he paid $100 million a year to bribe government officials. Even former Mexican President Nieto is accused of receiving a $100 million bribe. The US Department of Justice indictment reveals Guzman's criminal network infiltrated 48 countries. Its capital was laundered through 300 shell companies. 2019, after a 3-month trial in a New York federal court, Guzman was sentenced to life imprisonment on 10 serious charges. But this victory was bittersweet. The trial revealed that US agencies have been taking bribes from him for a long time, and the Sinaloa cartel continued to control the global illegal drug trade even after his imprisonment. Number 9. Alan Stanford. When people talk about the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, the name Bernard Madoff always comes up first. However, lurking in the shadows of financial crime, there was also a man known as Alan Stanford, the Caribbean king of finance. This man, who once wore a white Panama hat, tax tycoon wielding a solid gold scepter, eventually ended up serving 110 years in a Florida prison and repaying $8 billion in fraudulent funds. Born in 1949 in the small town of Stanford, Texas, in his early years, he demonstrated his talent in real estate, keen business sense. When the Texas oil bubble burst in the 1980s, he and his father bought properties at low prices, then made his first fortune when the real estate market recovered. This success fueled greater ambitions. After taking over the family business in 1993, he targeted the Caribbean, where regulations were weak. He established an offshore banking system in Antigua. He used the gold lettering of Stanford International Bank. He promised global investors deposit interest rates far exceeding market averages. Certificates of deposit featured Stanford's face. Over 20 years, it attracted over 30,000 investors from 113 countries. He built a financial empire spanning Europe, North America, and Latin America. This dual nationality kingpin knows the rules of the power game. He spent millions supporting Antiguan politicians, even cultivating political allies in the IS Congress. He achieved a remarkable position, specifically as Antigua's representative to the Wu. When investors questioned the high returns of up to 8%, he produced a fraudulent investment report, always dispelling doubt. February 2009, surprise SEC audit exposed a 20-year lie. Investigators found deposit products called as safe as government bonds were, in fact, a classic Ponzi scheme. New investor funds used to pay off old customers. Stanford himself embezzled $2 billion to buy a private island. He then formed a cricket team and even kept a mistress. Even more shockingly, this organization was considered an international bank. 70% of its assets were invested in private equity funds and real estate projects with extremely poor liquidity. When the global financial crisis disrupted the capital chain, this house of cards collapsed immediately. Throughout the 3 years of testing, Stanford always insisted that he created jobs and boosted the economy. He even declared in court, "God knows I am innocent." But the 2012 verdict ended that charade with 13 felony counts. Financial fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice. Each indictment detailed how this elaborate scam devastated countless families. When the judge handed down a 110-year sentence, applause erupted in the courtroom. The former billionaire has finally begun her life's work at prison number 921120004 in Florida. Top 8. Truong Lan. She once possessed billions of dollars in assets, attending top social events in the most prosperous area of Ho Chi Minh City, constructing skyscrapers. Now, this woman is known as the Queen of Vietnamese real estate. Now, she must wear a numbered prison uniform, awaiting execution behind bar. Truong Lan, 68, spent 12 years orchestrating the largest financial fraud in Southeast Asia's history. When this empire built on lies crumbled, it did not just wipe out 3% of Vietnam's annual GDP, it completely shattered the entire foundation of trust in the national financial system. An ordinary woman with a neat bun selling clothes. In 1992, she saw a business opportunity in Vietnam's Doi Moi reforms. Leveraging her sharp business acumen and political and business connections, Truong Lan opened a small jewelry shop. It transformed into the Van Thin Phat Group, from a luxurious apartment on the Saigon River to 5-star hotels. Behind this glamour, an undercurrent had begun to rise. 3 banks on the brink of collapse in 2012 merged into Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank. This should have been a milestone in financial reform, but in this carefully designed ownership puzzle by Truong Lan, she became her own private M. Through 25 official shareholders, she effectively controlled this Vietnamese company. 93% of the loans from the largest commercial banks were channeled to. When auditors finally peeled back the layers of deception, 916 fake loan contracts, a dense web of fraud, siphoning off 304 trillion dong, approximately $12.5 billion continuously flowed into Truong Lan's personal accounts. This figure is more than 3 times larger than the Malaysian One Metabi scandal. Enough for every Vietnamese citizen to buy 2 smartphones. To cover up the black hole, high-risk bonds issued by Saigon Commercial Joint Stock Bank packages a financial product, infiltrating the asset allocation of ordinary savers like a virus. When 3 bank employees committed suicide within 2 weeks, panic-stricken people flooded the bank lobbies. This pawn scheme lasted for 10 years. And finally, the final chapter. At the April 24 trial, prosecutors used 4 tons of evidence recovered from every device of this super scam. From fake real estate mortgages to goalers bribing regulatory agencies, a complex cross-border money laundering network, to $4.5 billion transferred through shell companies. When the judge sentenced her to death, among the 85 co-defendants present in court were her husband of 34 years and her niece, whom she raised herself. This strong woman would often chat and laugh at political and business parties. $11 billion was needed to commute her death sentence to life imprisonment. That is $126 for every Vietnamese person, for her crimes. Top 7. John Kapoor. He was a legendary billionaire in the pharmaceutical industry. A charitable foundation was established in his wife's name to fight cancer. He was also the first person in US legal history to be one of the wealthiest convicted criminals. He orchestrated a scheme of bribery and systematic fraud to aggressively push powerful opioid drugs to countless patients. Born in 1943 in Amritsar, India, Kapoor escaped poverty through his pharmaceutical talent. After earning his pharmacy degree in Mumbai, he seized a scholarship opportunity to study in the United States, receiving a degree from the State University of New York in 1972 and a PhD in pharmaceutical chemistry from the University of Buffalo. This experience brought him respect within the industry. However, what truly ranked him among the wealthiest was Insys Therapeutics, founded in 2013, company specializing in the production of high-potency fentanyl spray. The drug Insys. This drug is to treat severe cancer pain. It became a turning point for Kapoor's business empire. To expand Insys' prescription volume, he instructed the company to establish a systematic bribery network through sham academic speaking engagements, bribes paid to doctors, issuing prescriptions without authorization, creating a task force to falsify patient medical records, defrauding insurance companies with inflated charges. When doctors questioned the drug's risks, sales representatives falsely claimed it was safer than morphine. This kind of profit became the strategy of their fast-paced operation. Insys sales in 2015 exceeded $300 million. The opioid crisis in the United States is spreading, with an average of 115 deaths per day. The irony, as handed his business, he presented himself as a philanthropist. He donated millions of dollars to the University at Buffalo. The pharmacy building is named after him and his late wife. The fund has long supported cancer research, as if trying to counteract the underlying evil with good deeds. However, a 2017 federal investigation exposed the cover-up. The Department of Justice filed felony charges under the RICO Act prosecuting his ring, uncovering Insys' marketing scheme. They found at least 5 patients died from unnecessary medication. Prosecutors stated bluntly, this was not a business mistake. Instead, they treated human lives as numbers on a spreadsheet. 2020 Kapoor, 76, was charged with extortion, 5 counts of wire fraud. Sentenced to 5.5 years in prison, he lost his luster in court. Due to a sharp drop in his company's stock price, his net worth plummeted from $2.6 billion to under $200 million. Dubbed the former billionaire, he delayed his prison sentence even during the pandemic. Finally, he ended up in a minimum security Minnesota prison in 2021. When he is released in early 2023, he will no longer be remembered as a pioneer in the pharmaceutical industry, but in Netflix's Pain Liar, he is still represented as the prototype of a cold-blooded drug lord, played by Andy Garcia. Number 6. Bill Hwang. Few in financial history have risen to the top of the global financial rankings as spectacularly as Bill Hwang. Archegos Capital Management, the family office he controlled, lost $20 billion in assets due to a highly leveraged trade. Bill Hwang's real name is Hwang Shenggu. Born in South Korea in 1964, in 1982, he immigrated to the United States with his parents. In 1996, he joined Julian Robertson's Tiger Management and became one of the Tiger Cubs. In 2001, Robertson gave him $25 million. This was seed money to start Tiger Asia Management. At its peak, the firm reached $5 billion in assets. However, in 2012, this fund was found to have engaged in insider trading of Chinese bank stocks. It was fined $60 million. The Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission even issued a 4-year ban against it. The setback did not end Bill Hwang's financial career. He quickly transformed Tiger Asia into the family office Archegos Capital. Through the derivative instrument of total return swaps, he signed hidden agreements with numerous investment banks. Banks held the stock. Bill Hwang only needed to pay a small margin deposit to gain leverage many times over. This activity avoided regulatory requirements for public disclosure of holdings exceeding 5%. This allowed him to leverage his $10 billion capital to an astounding $160 billion by early 2021. To heavily invest in Viacom, Cut, Baidu, and other Chinese stocks when these stocks simultaneously plummeted in March 2021. Bill Hwang refused to close his positions promptly, instead believing the market would recover, as the margin gap continued to widen. Investment banks were forced to close their positions, triggering a stampede. Credit Suisse alone lost $5.5 billion. Ultimately, this was the final straw that broke the back of this centuries-old investment bank. This disaster exposed more than just individual greed. Regulatory documents show that Bill Hwang spread his trust contracts among different investment banks, leading each institution to believe it was the sole counterparty. In reality, his total exposure far exceeded the imagination of any single institution. What is even more frightening is, although Bill Hwang's group received numerous margin calls before the liquidation, investment banks never implemented effective risk controls due to their greed for high commissions. This systemic failure of oversight makes Archegos' collapse a prime example of the failings of modern financial regulation. November 2024, securities fraud in Manhattan Federal Court. 10 counts including market manipulation. Bill Hwang sentenced to 18 years in prison. Judge Alvin Hellerstein rebuked his conduct in court. Just think of the financial market as a private casino. He also stressed that this harsh sentence aims to curb Wall Street's culture of greed. Top 5. Prakash Hinduja. With $46.86 billion, equivalent to 4.5 years in prison, when these two numbers appeared simultaneously in a June 2024 ruling. The world was shocked. Prakash Hinduja, 79-year-old Swiss billionaire and owner of a famous London hotel. A tycoon controlling a business empire spanning 3 continents. He was finally charged with exploiting his domestic help. He was detained along with his wife, son, and daughter-in-law. The life story of Prakash Hinduja. Initially, a quintessential business legend. Born in 1945 into a wealthy merchant family in Sindh, India, the Hinduja Group, founded by his father Parmanent, launched in Tehran. The second generation of the family. Prakash took over the European business at the age of 28, expanding the business from Geneva to Monaco. Banking. Real estate. A businessman wearing gold-rimmed glasses, known for his precise calculation, the O Raffles Hotel in London. It is like a specific symbol of his business ambition. This former British War Office building has been converted into a 5-star hotel. Room rates as high as $2,533 a night. However, beneath the bright exterior, the waters were rising. The Swiss Federal Supreme Court's 2021 decisions uncovered the tip of the iceberg: $140 million in tax bonds related to tax evasion, illegal residency, and other accusations. What truly dragged the family into the abyss? Those are Indian maids at the Geneva Lake Villa, who only earned $316.6 a month. Court evidence shows these workers came from the Hinduja homeland. 18-hour workdays. Passports confiscated, rooms equipped with surveillance. They were even forbidden from seeking medical treatment on their own. When the maid sought medical care for burns, the treatment the employer offered was to apply toothpaste. June 21, 2024, the presiding judge condemned this systematic exploitation in court. But the final sentence caused great controversy. Only 4 to 4.5 years. Even more intriguing is that the Prakash couple were absent from the trial due to health reasons, awaiting the verdict at their Dubai villa. Even sadder is that the Hinduja family's lawyers are all top tier. From 7 countries, and their London hotel employs a 3 Michelin star chef. But to maintain this respectability, it comes from the blood and sweat of third world laborers. When the judge read, forfeiture of $964,000 in illegally obtained funds, a slight chuckle rippled through the courtroom. That is less than the cost of maintaining Prakash's private jet for half a year. Top 4. Sam Banfront. In the spotlight, he always appeared as a scientist and engineer with messy hair. The image of him eating a sandwich in an oversized t-shirt, once a nerd in the cryptocurrency industry. When this 32-year-old mathematical genius stood in a New York courtroom, people were surprised to see the eyes behind those black-framed glasses. A fraudulent network with a history of over $11 billion had been calculated. Sam Bankman-Fried's life trajectory resembled the FX trading system he designed. On the surface, it is a compelling financial innovation. At its, it is a carefully designed Ponzi scheme. Sam Banfront, the son of a Stanford law professor, had a perfect start in life. After graduating from MIT with dual degrees in physics and mathematics, he worked at Jane Street Capital, a rapidly rising top quantitative trading firm on Wall Street. Sensing an arbitrage opportunity in cryptocurrency in 2017, he founded Alameda Research in Hong Kong, exploiting the price difference between Bitcoin in Japan and the US to withdraw $25 million a day. While his colleagues were still exploring blockchain technology, this young man, wearing glasses for his severe nearsightedness, built a complex financial network in the global market. The FX exchange was founded in 2019 and ranked among the top 3 in the world within 2 years. Its valuation reached $32 billion. At age 30, he ranked 41st on the Forbes 400 list, considered the golden boy of cryptocurrency. Behind the glamorous image of the new tech elite, Sam Bankman-Fried built a dual system. Secret funding channels through Alameda and FX. He misappropriated customer deposits to invest in high-risk ventures, luxury purchase in the Bahamas, a $30 million penthouse apartment, donated $100 million in political contributions to politicians. When the 2022 crypto winter arrived, believers in effective altruism chose to prop up the bubble with lies. He directed his team to develop a backdoor system to hide the shortfall, falsified financial reports, and even tried to buy $5 billion in Twitter investments to distract attention until the $32 billion FX empire collapsed in November. Hundreds of thousands of investors just discovered their account balances had become a phantom number. When prosecutors presented him with encrypted chats with executives, the mathematical genius mask completely shattered. By those discussing the technical details of how they manipulated the balance sheet with him at the congressional hearing, his passionate speeches advocating for industry regulation create an absurd contrast. All 7 serious charges were ultimately proven. The 25-year prison sentence and $11 billion fine set a new record in US financial crime history. Top 3. Elizabeth Holmes. This young woman was born in Washington. Elizabeth Holmes, with a business gene running in her blood. Her grandfather founded a yeast manufacturing empire, and her father worked at Enron. All of this instilled in her an ambition for a business legend. In a Stanford University laboratory, when the professor questioned the feasibility of her blood testing technology, at age 9, Holmes decided to drop out of college to start a company. She named it Theranos, Portman of Therapy and Diagnosis. Dream disrupt the established medical testing process, built in a Palo Alto warehouse. With family connections and exceptional eloquence, she quickly built a protective network in the political and business worlds. Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, and so the names of politicians appeared on the board of directors list. The company's value skyrocketed to $9 billion. When engineers discovered that the detection device's error rate was up to 30%, Holmes ordered the data to be falsified in the demonstration. Facing a collaboration offer from a giant pharmacy chain, she demanded her employees use competitor tools to fabricate test results overnight. Culture of fear pervaded the company, and those who questioned it were quickly fired. Secret labs were equipped with fingerprint locks and a surveillance network. At the same time, she and the coup, who was 20 years older than her, forged a secret romance. Sunny Balwani, they developed into a power couple, together controlling the company. This couple used $700 million in funding to build a fantasy of a perfect tech world, until a Wall Street Journal reporter ripped the perfect facade. The 2015 investigative report triggered a chain reaction. Regulators discovered Theranos had produced 6 million test reports over several years, nearly half of which contained serious errors. This device was claimed to be able to detect over 200 indicators, but the Edison device could only actually perform 12 basic tests. The federal prosecutor's indictment revealed that Holmes knew about the technical flaws, but she still marketed the testing service to Walgreens pharmacies. She even faked military partnership documents to secure investment. When justice prevailed, the formerly wealthiest woman wept in court. She claimed to have been mentally controlled by her partner, but it could not hide the fact that email evidence of falsified financial reports. In 2022, 3 counts of wire fraud and a conspiracy conviction ended this valuation fraud. Holmes was pregnant with her second child when the judge handed down an 11.25-year sentence. A brilliant entrepreneur creating illusions. Even her birth time was precisely calculated. She is currently incarcerated in a Texas federal prison, inmate number 70450-111, alongside drug smugglers and money launderers. She and Balwani are jointly ordered to pay $452 million in restitution for their fraud, and patients whose treatment was delayed due to misdiagnosis. There will never be a sincere apology. Number 2. Rajaratnam. Private jets once soared through the sky. Champagne bubbles and the laughter of bikini-clad girls mingled at yak parties. The Wall Street wolves circled the hedge fund kingpin. But in 2019, the electronic ankle monitor served as a reminder to the world that this Forbes 400 man had just completed 7.5 years behind bars in U.S. federal prison. Fall of 2008, Rajaratnam's resembled his $7 billion hedge fund. Forbes magazine ranked him the 262nd richest person in the United States. His personal net worth conservatively estimated at $1.8 billion. The Sailing Group, which he founded, is a major player on Wall Street. His Midtown Manhattan office sees billions of dollars flowing in and out every day. His heyday, the size of the fund he managed was equivalent to Iceland's GDP. The son of a Colombo immigrant made his fortune by betting on tech and healthcare stocks, achieving an annual return rate of 22.3%. Hailed by the industry as a new investment superstar. At them, he often stayed in the penthouse suite of the Four Seasons Hotel, having dinner with the CEO of a publicly traded company. News of a merger and acquisition was inadvertently revealed during the meeting. The next, that information would translate into 8-figure income in his account. The turning point came on October 16, 2009. When the FBI raided, he was using an encrypted phone. That was a $20 million phone call receiving inside information from Goldman Sachs. He eventually ended up in federal prison. Court documents show this financial kingpin engaged in over 140 instances of insider trading, with illegal profit exceeding $60 million. The highest single profit made was $20 million. The 2011 ruling was like a rich man's meat grinder. The 11-year prison sentence set a record for the longest insider trading case in the U.S. The massive $150 million fine brought his business empire crashing down. Galleon Group withdrew its capital amidst panicked investors, forced to liquidate after $1.3 billion. The hangar once filled with private jets now only holds legal documents fluttering in the wind. But even behind bars, this financial kingpin's assets still have an underground flow. He secretly moved them before going to prison, and his overseas assets continue to appreciate. 5 luxury homes in prime Manhattan locations. His net worth doubled due to the rising real estate market, not to mention the initial shares of tech companies held under the names of relatives and friends. These intangible assets, when he was released in 2019, he could still afford a $30,000 a month penthouse with a private chef and therapist. Number 1. Trieu Truong Bang. In 2021, Trieu Truong Bang's net worth peaked at $90 billion. Equivalent to 2.8 trillion new Taiwan dollars. This data has sent shockwaves through the entire cryptocurrency world. This also makes him one of the most sought-after billionaires in the world. As the founder and former CEO of Binance, Changpeng Zhou used his sharp business acumen to transform a startup into the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, achieving a transaction speed of 1.4 million times per second and 6 million users. Changpeng Zhou was born in 1977, originally from Guiyang, Guizhou, but he was born in Liaoning, Jiangsu. Although his family was ordinary, his father was a university professor. To avoid political turmoil, the whole family immigrated to Canada in the early years. It was in this immigrant community that he relied on his diligence and intelligence to rise from working at McDonald's to attending McGill University, studying computer science, Tokyo Stock Exchange, strengthening technical and financial capabilities with Bloomberg, valuable accumulated experience. After returning to China to start a business in 2005, he innovated technology, leading in financial technology, until 2013, when he entered the cryptocurrency field. 2014, Zhou Changpeng decided to sell all his real estate in Shanghai and invest all his money in Bitcoin. This move allowed him to experience the sweetness of cryptocurrency from the very beginning. He then worked at Blockchain Info. He was also the chief technology officer of Acoin. 2017, he founded Binance. In less than 8 months, he propelled Binance to become the world's leading cryptocurrency exchange, becoming a market enigma at the time. It was because of this success that in 2018, Forbes named him the richest man in cryptocurrency. His wealth also skyrocketed. However, there was always risk behind the prosperity. In 2022, Bitcoin's price plummeted to its lowest level in years, coupled with the volatile cryptocurrency market. Zhou Changpeng's assets significantly decreased overnight. Although the amount decreased significantly, this number is still enough to rank him among the world's richest people. Things took a major turn in 2023. The Securities and Exchange Commission filed numerous charges against Binance and Zhou Changpeng regarding securities and anti-money laundering laws. November 2023, Zhou Changpeng admitted to violating US anti-money laundering laws and resigned as Binance CEO. Binance is also facing a $4.3 billion fine. This string of legal and regulatory shocks has caused serious damage to his business and personal assets. Market confidence in Binance has also fluctuated. April 24, 2024, Zhou Changpeng for money laundering. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison by the U.S. Department of Justice. He was then incarcerated in a California prison. At them, he had assets worth $4.3 million. For a businessman who once controlled the global cryptocurrency trading landscape, imprisonment was certainly a heavy blow and an unprecedented failure. However, surprisingly, after his release from prison, his assets quickly accumulated to $90 billion. Such wealth. This is a level of achievement that ordinary people could never reach in their entire lives. Okay, so that is the end of this video. I do not know which of these 10 amazing prison bosses featured today impressed you the most. Let us know in the comments below. If you also enjoyed this video, please support me by liking and subscribing, and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. See you next time.